Welcome back to the Run to Remember podcast. I'm your host, Kristen Fairs, joined alongside race director Carrie Watkins. We have a variety of guests on this week's podcast, all with great information to share. Coach Carlee Daub steps you through where your training needs to be by now. Devon Energy's Marla Freeman shares why Devon has been a partner since 2001, and Caryn Ross, also known as Sassy Mama, has something tasty for your training. Don't miss out and join us for the 2024 OKC Memorial Marathon, the weekend of April 26th through the 28th. Visit okcmarathon.com for all the latest information. Carrie.
Here we are, back
in
downtown Oklahoma City, Griffin Studios, News 9. We've got some fun things. I think you'll recognize a face on today's podcast from News 9. And I heard she brought some food. Hope it's tasty and not too healthy.
I suspect it'll be tasty but healthy.
Okay. We'll settle on that.
We'll see.
And then just reminding people, we have a great program for runners, for people who are going to Boston, who've ever thought about going to Boston. Bringing in a good friend of ours, Tom Grilk, who has been just retired as the president and CEO of the Boston Athletic Association. He'll be here on March 6th. Sign up, come to reception with food and drink, and listen to his story, just talking about triumph and tragedy and Oklahoma City and Boston and how those two cities bonded. And as we continue to live through this craziness of the world, you realize the strength of the people and the city in it. Just walking over here, I saw a sign that said, kindness makes people better and people make a city better. And I think about how that is so true in what we're doing and what we're trying to do. So we're excited about that. Sign up at okcmarathon.com.
Yeah, that's going to be a great program.
It really
Very
is.
Exciting.
He's got some great wisdom.
Yeah. And then one more thing to note, that there's a price increase coming up on March 1st.
Yep, there is. So if you're thinking about it, you're on the border, jump in.
Jump in now. Yep.
That's right.
Yep. All right. Well, we've got an exciting group of guests today. Coach Carlee Daub has joined us the past 2 seasons of the podcast. She brings some Wahoo energy with her this morning. Carlee is an accomplished runner and coach. She's run OKC several times and lots of other places, including Boston. You're headed back to Boston this year.
I am. That's the fun thing about OKC and Boston, as you were just saying, is that it's usually within 10 days, 14 days
Almost
of each other.
Always, yeah.
Sometimes 6 days where you'll run on Monday, then come home and run OKC. But I like it because it does match up with a lot of friends that are running OKC, so we can kind of simultaneously train together. And I'm really excited. So.
Yeah. So, Carlee, you bring a lot of expertise in running, and I love your story that you shared with us the first season of the podcast, that the first time you ran a marathon, you didn't necessarily, it wasn't that great, or, I mean, it was great, but...
It was difficult. It was harder than I thought. I was a college athlete, so I just thought, I can do this. I look around at all the crowds. I'm like, it can't be that hard if this many people do it. And man, I looked at my husband at mile 18, gave both thumbs down. I was like, holy cow, there's something to this. I got to figure this out. So I do like a challenge, and so I did come back for more because I'm like, I think I did that wrong. Like, I think I didn't train properly. I wore like Nike Shocks. I mean, just complete college kid just coming out of the woodwork and like, I'll try a marathon. And it was more difficult than I expected.
So what did you learn from that? So how did you improve? How did you get better? And how did you get to where you are now?
Yeah, one thing that community, like you were just saying, people make a difference. And I met up with my business partner, Christy Thomas, with Wahoo Running. And I have to give her a lot of credit for my training and just what I've learned over the last, I've been here almost in Oklahoma 9 years.
You're in Oklahoma now.
Yeah, I really am. Yeah. When I first got here, I was like, get me out of here. And now anytime it's a possibility of leaving, I'm like, no, I want to be here. Never. I love it here. But anyway, she taught me a lot. She's ran for a long time, taught me the difference between, training smart and just running all the miles. There is a difference. Fueling, that's one thing I want to talk about today for people that are getting kind of deep into their training, how to fuel for the marathon. I think people underestimate how many calories you actually need to take in if you want to perform on race day. And
so we're 9 weeks out.
I know. Yeah.
So what does that mean?
9 weeks out. So at Wahoo, we train with this is one thing that's kind of interesting and different about us. We train with time versus miles. So a lot of times you might see a training plan that says, okay, you have a 20 miler this weekend, where we would say you have a 2 hour and 45 minute run. And that's because I think 20 miles can seem very daunting, and you can technically run that faster than we think you should, but you can't make time 2 hours and 45 minutes go by faster. So the athlete in their mind goes, okay, I can do that. I can do 2 hours and 45 minutes.
So is that your way to get people to slow down?
Yes, it is.
Smart.
So one of
Very
the biggest
smart.
things that we get when we first get a client is always, okay, you're gonna think we're nuts, but to get faster, you need to slow down. And they are always like, wait, what? And it's because they're in a constant state of stress, pushing it all the time. And a lot of times, if you're a runner, you've heard about the 80-20 rule. 80% of your runs need to be at a slow, manageable pace. 20% need to be, picking it up, maybe more goal marathon pace. And that's really difficult for Americans to figure out, because we as Americans are always like, go, go, go. If you're not sweating and not dying, you're not working hard enough. And actually that's the opposite with endurance sports. You need to kind of get really comfortable at the slow, easy, chill pace. And as soon as you can really, work that aerobic system, that's what's going to benefit you on race day. So yes, we give them time so that they'll slow down, because if you think about it, if you have a 10-mile run, you get to 9 miles and you're like, gosh, I just want to be done.
Right.
You can kind of speed up to finish it faster. Or if you just have 10 more minutes, you can't make 10 minutes.
You can't make it go faster.
So yes, that is one of our tricks.
Yeah.
And so if you're running the half, where should you be right now, or heading toward the next week or so?
Yeah, I'd say if you're at the 10 with or if you're doing the half and you're about 9 weeks out, 8 to 10 miles would be if you were using miles, but I'd say more at that 90-minute long run. And one thing that I do like too with using 90 minutes, some people go, well, I'm a slower runner. Is that going to be enough time out there? And it really is. Getting enough time on your feet is super important. And then past a certain amount of time, it's actually going to affect you negatively. So say on race day, you're a half marathoner and you're going to go out there and you're going to do, a 3-hour half. Past that 2-hour mark, you're really not getting much benefit, because you are sort of running your race in your training. We want to save that all for race day. So if you're doing a half, we don't really want to see you going past 2 hours, even though you might be out there for 3 hours on race day, if that makes sense. And it's same as sort of with the marathon. We don't have our marathoners we always say either do 20 miles or 2 hours and 45 minutes. Past that 2 hours, 45 minutes, 3 hours mark, you're really putting yourself into a position where you're going to need to recover for a few days. You may not run for a few days, and that's not what we want in training. So right now, if you're for the marathon, I would say 2 hours and 15-minute long run, 15-ish miles. And then if you're doing the half, more like 8 to 10 miles, 90 minutes. And one thing when people get frustrated about having to slow it down and run slow miles is one thing is called strides. And I'm working with Caroline, Carrie's daughter, and we do strides at the end of our runs, and it's just 20-second pickups. So you'll pick up the pace for 20 seconds, and then you'll walk for 40 seconds, pick up the pace. So you are feeling like you're kind of like getting out of that slow jog that can be really mundane and boring.
Yeah.
So adding strides to any of your training is very important.
And so that's okay to add to those long runs?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. If you have a long, easy run, doing 4 by 20-second strides at the end just kind of gives you a little bit of pep at the end. You're not going to be tired afterwards, because it's just 4 by 20 seconds is, less than 2 minutes of work. And so you won't have to recover.
She's good at math too.
So.
Well, I will say that the proof is in the pudding with
I
Wahoo.
know, it really is.
Yeah, you've got a lot of accomplished runners and lots of people who are achieving their goals. And
Yes.
whatever your goal is. If your goal is to run and have fun and finish, great.
Yes.
If your goal is to
Yes.
qualify for Boston, then great too. And I feel like you guys are successful in helping people achieve whatever their goal
And they
is.
have tons of fun.
Tons of fun.
Yes.
They wahoo
It's
at
not
the water
worth
stops.
it if you're not wahooing.
Yeah.
So talk to us about nutrition and hydration.
Yeah, nutrition, hydration. Right now is the perfect time to be practicing. It's not too early. One thing I suggest is to go to your local running store, maybe, OK Runner, Red Coyote, and grab a couple samples. Because one thing, you'll get online and you'll want to go purchase all this fuel, and you're like, it's kind of expensive. So buying single packets from a local running store is helpful. So that way you can kind of taste texture, see what you're gonna like, and just start experimenting. Everybody's fuel plan looks different. I am a heavy sweater and I am a volleyball player in nature, was not born a runner. So I blow through my glycogen and my fuel stores really fast. And so I need more calories than the average individual. And that would probably be the same if a football player ran a marathon or a basketball player. They're used to utilizing
trained
fuel.
differently.
Yes. And so, you can see the difference in a runner that gets first place in the marathon. They usually are built a little different, and they are utilizing their stores probably better than most individuals. So definitely start practicing now. One thing that's super helpful, I had an athlete one time, and I thought this was so genius. He looked up what the course was going to have, and I believe we have Blue Powerade.
We do.
Yes.
And he didn't enjoy Blue Powerade, but he said, if that's what I'm going to get on race day, I'm going to train myself to enjoy it. So, or not even maybe enjoy it, but to be able to handle
Tolerate it, yeah.
So he, at each one of his long runs, he brought Blue Powerade because he knew that was what's going to be on the course. And just like training for the marathon or the half, you can train your gut to take in fuel, to take in, certain types of fluids that you don't necessarily love. But fueling smart early and often in your marathon or half will allow you to run a smart second half of your race. If you are walking at the second half of your race, most likely your fueling was not on point or training. And if you're not, and you're all of a sudden, gosh, I'm getting a little faster. How am I getting faster at mile 10 or mile 20? It's because you hit the fuel game strong and early. When you wait till it's too late in the game, it's too late.
So is that kind of your indicator of how your fueling is how you feel starting the second half? That's how you know if I'm doing this incorrect or need
the
more?
first time I ran a faster 5K split at the end of my marathon than the first 5K split, I was like, oh. We can take that full circle back to when I ran my first marathon in Eugene, and I gave my husband the thumbs down, and I only drank water. I was like, I don't want fluid. That sounds weird to drink in fluid, like other stuff. And then now I'm taking upwards of 2,000 calories on race morning, and I'm flying at the end of marathons. So that is and 2,000 is high. I'd say probably more like 1,200 to 1,500 for certain people. But if you are a bigger person you're going to be expending more energy. Or if the weather's cold, you have to take all of those things. Or if it's hot. That's the thing with OKC is every year we get a special prize.
Flip the coin.
We don't know.
It's God's biggest surprise He gives us. Well, you guys are doing great things. You're taking a group to Boston to run.
Yep. We have about I'd say 10 to 15 heading to Boston. And it's super fun because a lot of us are from Oklahoma, but some are from all over the country. And then we all get to Boston, hang out together. And the best part is being with your community. And then, we have a beer afterwards and celebrate.
Yeah, talk about the Michelob Ultra training.
Yes, so we have a connection with Team Ultra, Michelob Ultra. Christy and I are the community builders and their team lead or their team coaches. So if Team Ultra has a race, for example, Houston, we will all converge on Houston, run the race, and then they sponsor it for the weekend with beer and fun and activities. And they just loved Wahoo's energy and just what we brought because we are a group of runners that, we take running serious, but we're never going to take it serious enough where the fun isn't involved. And so, because we've seen that happen where you get so dialed in where the fun, then there's no fun. And it's like, none of us are getting paid to run marathons, so it better be fun and we better enjoy it. So that's been a really, really special partnership that we've been able to
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, Carlee, you've done a lot for the Oklahoma running community, you and Christy and Wahoo Running, and you all are fun to follow. It's fun to watch. You make the joy contagious in running. Makes me want to get out there.
Yeah. And they're training kids. I mean, they're doing incredible work.
It's really fun to watch you guys. It's fun to see your success, and I'm thankful that you partner with us on race day as well. And
you'll see them along the course cheering. It's incredible energy.
And running.
Yeah.
Yep. Thanks, Carlee.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Our next guest is Marla Freeman, Community Relations Supervisor with Devon Energy, the marathon's longtime presenting sponsor. Marla, thank you for joining us today.
I'm so happy to be here.
Devon has been here since the very beginning, Carrie,
Very first
since
race.
2001.
Devon was on board day one, and they've never looked back. Well, if they've looked back, they haven't talked about looking back, but
they haven't shared that.
They have been a great partner.
Yeah. So, Marla, can you just kind of tell us about Devon's involvement and why it's important to Devon?
Absolutely. Like you said, we've been a part of this since its inception in 2001, and in a very variety of ways. We aren't only a sponsor, our employees really feel connected to this and really like to volunteer. So we've done different things at the finish line or at the expo or even water stops and cleaning the chairs this year. So
yeah, they always come and clean the chairs, 168 chairs, which is a very meaningful time for them. And also, I think just you guys are all around the race. I mean, you've got runners, you have employees who are runners, and people who engage at all levels, right?
Yes, absolutely. Like I said, our employees really like to be a part of it. I'm not personally a runner. I did run the half a long time ago, but I love that there are so many other opportunities to get involved. Even if you're not a runner, there's so many volunteer opportunities. And, Devon is an Oklahoma City downtown business. And so I think any Oklahoman feels very connected to this. And I know our employees really like to be a part of it.
Why does it mean so much to Devon?
Well, like I said, we're downtown. It's in the fabric of who we are. I think that it's important that I know the race is a way to shine a light on what the memorial's doing to tell this story. All people from Oklahoma City and Oklahomans in general feel very connected, and we want to tell this story of resiliency. It's an important message to get out there, and it's a way to just keep remembering everything. And not only to honor the victims and the families, but also all of the unsung heroes and the first responders who are involved. I just feel like everybody that you talk to here has some connection to this.
Yeah, even people not from Oklahoma who weren't, weren't native to Oklahoma or weren't here at the time of the bombing, still have found a connection. And this day, in this race, really helps weave that all together.
Yeah, it really is. And Devon has grown so much through the years, and they've grown with us as the race has grown. And I just can't say enough about their generosity and their willingness to step up to serve and just show kindness and be a part of the community, and most importantly, the presenting sponsor of the race. So
yes, yeah, that's a very important part.
They are the big sponsor of the race. So
Marla, will you be out there on race day?
I will, and I will also be helping to clean the chairs. I know we had about a little over 20 people last year, and they all are ready to come back and clean the chairs this year. I know we'll have more people as well, and it was just a lot of people talked about it's such a simple, practical thing to do to honor the victims and families and feel connected to the cause. But I will definitely be out there, not running, but I will be there.
Listen, that's what it takes. We need supporters, we need volunteers, we need cheerleaders, we need
usually someone from Devon holds the tape. Hopefully, it's one of the big guns usually comes out and holds the tape.
Our leadership is very involved and wants to be a part of it.
It's fun to see them out there and excited, and it's a vibe at the finish line, and it's fun to see everybody in the community get engaged with it.
Yeah,
and Devon leading the way.
Yeah, well. Thanks, Marla, and thanks for bringing Devon along, and thanks for all you guys do to help support the race.
Thank you. We feel very honored to be a part of it.
Thanks, Marla.
The doctors, nurses, and employees at SSM Health St. Anthony Hospital understand the importance of hydration for runners. With runners' health in mind, SSM Health has served as the marathon's water stop partner for many years. Look for their official water stops all along the course.
I'm Tammy Powell, president of SSM Health St. Anthony Hospital. The Oklahoma City National Memorial is just steps away from our campus in Midtown. We are reminded of our mission every April 19th, and we remember the impact that day had on our city, our state, and on our nation. As Oklahomans, we have a lot to be proud of, and this marathon is a testimony to the resilient spirit of our community. St. Anthony is honored to be able to serve the people of Oklahoma City, and we will always remember.
Joining us now is Caryn Ross, a chef, cookbook author, and travel adventurer. She's also known as Sassy Mama. You've probably seen Caryn on News 9's afternoon newscast. Caryn, we are so glad that you're here today, and you brought us food.
I brought treats. That's how I
Does it get any better than this?
No. Yeah, it's a good day when I bring treats.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Caryn, tell us a little bit about you. You're a chef.
I'm a chef.
How'd you get into that?
Well, it's a long and silly story. I worked with Paula Deen and basically won a contest about cream cheese, which is so not for runners, by the way. And
sounds good.
Everything in moderation.
Yes, everything in moderation. And so honestly, that took off. News 9 found me, and then they were like, oh, she's kind of sassy. And they were like, well, we might have a spot for you. And 13 years later, I'm still here sharing recipes and some of my travel adventures that I go on with all of our viewers.
Yeah.
So you're not a dietitian, you're not a nutritionist, you're just like us, regular human being trying to eat well, do well.
Yes, I'm just a mom and a wife, but I mean, my mom was a nurse. I mean, I have great friends who are doctors. They help.
You have athletes for kids, you get
And my
it.
son was a college, football player, so, I had to learn a lot how to fuel my children to be a better athlete.
And then, and this is great having you on after Carlee, who was talking about the importance of nutrition and fueling in a race and, just how important that is. So what were some things you learned as you were, feeding a college football player, which Carrie's done as well?
Yeah.
I have not had to do that.
Yeah, it's bump up your money for sure.
Yeah.
It is literally, the budget is through the roof. And honestly, it's very easy. It's just treating their bodies really like a machine. Just like we keep our engines oiled, we have to get it tuned up. We have to continue that with a college athlete. Hydration, number one thing. My son actually had a heat stroke during a football game.
Wow.
After a football game, and we learned really quickly Pedialyte. I don't know if that translates for runners, but for my son, I would ship him to Chicago every week. He got 4 bottles, big bottles of Pedialyte, and he would drink those throughout the week before the game. So he was having to fuel for that game. So
It doesn't just start race morning or the day.
No.
It starts week is out.
It's the week out. It's a whole, your machine, you're tuning it up. Just like we take our car in to be worked on and tuned up before we go on the big trip down Route 66. You have to do that as an athlete. So I've really gotten used to that with the kids. I was hydration, because if you're not hydrated, you aren't going to feel good. Yeah. Of course, I have no experience in this because I don't run unless, of course, I'm chased. And then I stop and I throw food at them and beg them to be my friend.
That's your strategy.
That's my strategy.
Well, so, you eat healthy. I mean, you cook in like a Blue Zone diet you talk about.
Yeah,
Tell us about that.
So I have fallen in love with the country of Greece, but I've fallen in love with their whole diet. And I have lost about 40 pounds since COVID. And it has been from just eating cleaner, eating healthier. Much like I've read with the runner's diet, because I didn't want to come in here uninformed, carbohydrates are key, carbs, but it's got to be a healthy carb. And with the Mediterranean diet, it's based on a lean meat, almost always kind of grilled. Souvlaki is grilled meat that has been marinated. They always serve it with some type of rice, usually with a little bit of fresh dill in it. So you could make a jasmine rice, but I usually make it a half a cup of rice. And then it's some type of grilled vegetables. And the fat that you're using is olive oil, something healthy that your body can naturally absorb and take care of, because those oils are actually, I have bad knees, are great for my knees. It's keeping everything lubed and moving, those oils. And that's so important. And so I've kind of moved my family over to more of that Mediterranean diet. Mm-hmm. It's not that they don't enjoy sweets, which they do, but it's small bites. It's not like...
Sugar's not our friend, really.
No, it really is not. And it's fascinating when you go...
We're all raised on it, and it's not great.
It's not, but I love it.
I know.
I mean, you don't...
I've got such a sweet tooth.
I love it. And it's interesting when you go over there's no layer cakes. Like, you don't see our American layer cakes with the big, thick thing of frosting. It's very interesting. Mm-hmm. So they make, everything is honey-soaked. So it's going to be bite size, and it's going to be a lower glycemic index than what we're going to get with a white refined sugar. Mm-hmm. So
you brought us treats.
Yeah.
Tell us about these.
I brought treats. Okay, so I actually used to make, because I'm cheap, and I would go see those energy bars at all the stores. And of course, my daughter played high school varsity soccer, and so she was like, "Oh, can I go get these?" Well, at $4 a pop, I mean, that gets expensive. And I was like, no, let me try to make my own. So what I've made here is a really easy little energy bar. It has whole oats, which is going to be the big oats, because quick oats, if you didn't know this, fun fact, is just blended up old-fashioned oats. Just they cook quicker when they're blended up.
There you go. There's your tip for the day.
There's your fun fact of the day.
Yep.
So I used whole oats. I used cocoa powder, which is going to give us that chocolate taste and that yumminess. I'm using an almond butter. That almond butter is allowing us to have some healthy nuts, some healthy fats, which is going to make it all stick together. I sweetened it with honey, not using anything with white sugar. It's got almonds. And then kind of the kicker and the interesting thing is, I read this online, is I put in a tablespoon of espresso powder.
It's really good.
So it's a little caffeine. And I can tell you, last night I made these, and so I was nibbling because they kind of break apart sometimes, and that's fine. And I was nibbling on them, and I was up till 3 in the morning.
Oh, so they're high in caffeine.
Woo!
Those are delicious.
It's
really
a little
are.
cheap charge. And honestly, with the kids, I would give them this, and they liked it.
Yeah, it's delicious.
And it's good that it breaks apart, because if you're carrying it and you're running, you can take a bite and go.
Well, Lord knows if it was in my pocket and I was running the marathon, it would be like granola when I'm done.
Well, it's really good.
And it's healthy. It's something you can take. It's portable and all of that. But I think the secret getting ready for the race time is to find something that you like, that you can tolerate, that your body likes. Because not all of our bodies are A, going to want the caffeine, or B, maybe I don't like chocolate. So you can kind of fine tune it as you like. With
And
that.
they can get this recipe on your Sassy Mama Instagram?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm going to post it. It is going to be so fun. And then I'm also going to start posting to get everybody ready for the race.
Oh, good.
And to get all those parents out there that are fueling their kid athletes.
Right.
I'm going to give you some of my tips and tricks, things that I made. I cooked many a football dinner at Heritage Hall. Pasta is, you always hear pasta, but actually they do tolerate that a lot better, and no spicy.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's not going to be a sexy run.
There are not enough porta potties for spicy.
I have a feeling if I was running and I was in an emergency, it would be a bush.
Well,
So glad to have you on.
I
And thank
know.
you for
Thank
the
you.
for the tips
Yeah.
and for the snack.
and you're on News 9 once a week, correct?
Twice a week.
Twice a week,
On
sorry.
Mondays and Wednesdays on the 4 p.m. show.
Okay, so tune in on News 9 to
Yes.
catch more tips from Caryn, and follow her on Instagram. You'll post that recipe here.
Absolutely, and I'm excited for the run, everyone.
Thank you so
I'll
much.
be a cheer.
Thank you.
Yes.
Well, we need those too.
We do, absolutely. Well, if you haven't signed up, this is your time.
This is
because
your time.
We're just a couple of weeks out from the price increase,
Yeah.
and you need to get training.
Yeah.
As Carlee said, you've got to get your time in, and
You need some time on your feet.
you really do.
Practice your nutrition. This was a great advice today.
It really was.
On what to eat, how to hydrate.
Yeah, we
the
want to hear how
importance
your
of it.
training's going. Send us a message and tell us how it's going, or ask us questions, and we'll pose those on this and get back to you.
Yeah, great. All right, well, that's it for this week's podcast. The Run to Remember Memorial Marathon takes place the weekend of April 26th through the 28th. Visit okcmarathon.com and follow the Oklahoma City Memorial Marathon on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok for the latest updates. This is your host, Kristen Fairs. Let's marathon.